Alright, y'all. Back again with part 2 of this video from Final Table Friday this last weekend. We're going to pick right up where we left off. Antes are now at 8. This is hand number 15, so let's just go ahead and jump into it. We have Blazer here in first position with 6 carriers. Pretty darn good hand. Whether or not you want to open it in first position is up to you. Zerg 2-2 on the board. We talked about this in the last video. Not a huge concern. Corruptors are already going to give carriers some grief, so just extra upgrades on top of that. I mean, you're already not in a good situation. They're going to make it even worse. I like a check generally here just because you're out of position, but every once in a while you do want to raise it. Goldie's going to be the next in line with the hand. She should either raise or call. Either is fine, depending on your read. If I remember right, Blazer's been fairly active at this table, so if he does raise, Goldie could absolutely re-raise him on top. And then we have Vendettius here in late position with 15 DTs. If it goes raise, re-raise, Vendettius should probably just fold. There's a good chance that like Ghost, Raven, something like that is on the table. Let's see what happens. Blazer checks it in first position. Okay. Beaver Teaser should not come into this hand. 14 add-ups. Pokemon checks. Here's Goldie. Let's see what she does with the ghosts. Just checks. Interesting. Now this leaves Vendettius an unfortunate opening. Goldie has kind of set the trap. This looks like smooth sailing for Vendettius. Like he should be able to raise this pretty profitably most of the time. But of course we have Goldie chilling out here with the ghosts. They're going to counter it. Let's see what happens. Should be erased like 32, yeah. And just should let this go. Blazer's definitely going to call. Goldie should definitely call. Now, here's another reason for Goldie to call here. With the ghosts, we do have the Zerg 2-2 on the board. If Zerg units are more likely because of the upgrades, ghosts are even in a better spot. Ghosts counter the crap out of like Ultras, Mutalisks, Broodlords, Corruptors. Like, so many of Zerg's big units just get shot down with ease with Ghost Snipe. So this is a really good spot for Goldie to be in. Kellogg should just get out of the way here. Only 8 in Hydra is not worth anything. Alright. Vendettius drew some Zealots. Not the greatest thing, but we can put them in front of the DTs to draw out some EMPs. Blazer picked up 16 Infestors. That'll be great to help counter, like, if he runs up against, like, battle cruisers and a capital versus capital battle. Some units on the ground that might give him some issues. He can fungal. It's not a great unit, but it gives you some value. So I can see Blazer go ahead and opening it up here. Vendettius is in a really tough spot. Like, again, we've talked about this in the last video. With DTs, your chances of winning go down drastically as soon as there's 2 people in the pot. All it takes is 1 person with a counter and you're out of the hand. If it goes check, Vindy should probably bet about half pot and then get out of the way. Unfortunately, betting half pot's going to be like a third of his stack. So let's rethink that again. We want to bet some amount that's not going to get insta-called and is not going to necessarily invite a shove over top. If we bet a third pot, let's call it like 45. That would leave Vendettius at about 140, 150, 155 left. With a pot size of like 175, 180. You know what? I take that back. I don't think Vendettius. I don't think if it goes check check, Vendettius can profitably make a play here. I think he just has to check it down and pray that there aren't any counters, because anything that he raises reasonably sized is just going to invite a shove over the top, just like even just as a bluff, and you're gonna have a really hard time calling off your whole stack with just DTs. Let's see what happens. Check. Check. Vindy really needs to check here. If he had a slightly bigger stack around like 250, I'd say this could be a profitable play. The raise to 100, that's a lot bigger than I would have liked. Yeah, Blazer calls, now has the counter to DTs himself. Goldie getting excellent pot odds to call, 3.3 to 1. Yeah, here come along the Ghost to ensure the DT's fate. These Ghosts are just having a hell of a time. Well, the DTs are going to live, unfortunately. That was a good play by both Vendettius and Blazer, I suppose, keeping it three-way. Even though they both had counters, their units stayed so busy with each other that like they couldn't actually kill anything. That was an interesting spot, though. I don't know. I may have to go back and study that hand more. All right. Beaver teaser here at first. 13 Ravens, checks it under position, or checks it out of position. Kal-El should be the first one to open this pot, I do believe. Kind of early to mid, or like mid plus one, or yeah, mid plus one, I think we would call it. With 22 wild cards, definitely a good opener. I think everybody else is going to get out of the way here. Kal-El does open with a min raise. Beaver Teaser could just blast with this. He just decides to call. I don't like that call. I feel like he should have made it about 40 to go. Because with, like, obviously with more Ravens, you can deal with more units. So if you had a count closer to like 20, 22, I'd say you could possibly call here and look for a three-way. It's not ideal, but if you're super confident against somebody's raise range, then that could be a really plus EV move. However, you only have 13 Ravens. Ravens already struggle in a multi-way. When you already only have that few of a power unit, you really want to force a 1v1 and push everybody else out of the pot. So, like I said, with the amount of calls already in the pot before it came back around to him, I feel like 40 would have been a good bet, maybe a little more. But right now, he's just inviting a lot of trouble. All right, he does pick up a really strong 10 Void Rays to go with it. Protoss 3/3 on the board. Nobody else really got much of any consequence. Let's see how this plays out. Beaver Teaser should probably go ahead and lead out here, I think. Make the donk bet. Not enough. Not enough. We just bet 24 into a pot of 96. That's giving... Yeah, 4 to 1 odds on a call. That's pretty huge for a hand this strong, but that needs to be a one-on-one. You're just inviting too much action. Make it double that. Raise 48 to 50. I think you'd have much better results in this play. Kal-El with the wild card. It's going to depend on if he rolls any anti-spellcaster stuff. Blazer should fold here. Some lag. Sorry about that. Oh my goodness. Come on, computer. You can do it. Sorry, guys. What is happening? I don't know what is going on. There we go. Don't jinx it now. Alright, now if the Void Rays get in there. Interesting hand. Alright. Antes have double increased again to 12. That is a 50% increase on the size of the antes. So let's take a second to break this down. Ninja's on the bottom here with not even 3 bets left behind after the 12. Pokemon's on top. We'll call it 600. So 50 bets, basically. Minus, so like 49, 48 bets. Far cry from when everybody started with 300 bets, you know? So as these antes go up, people are going to be more at threat of being knocked out, being short stacked. People are going to be more active in the hands. It's now more worthwhile to take down just the antes. In an 8-handed pot, look at this. Before the hand even starts betting, you have 96 chips in the pot. That's almost 4% of the chips in play. So every time you take down just the antes, that's a huge bump. And as the antes go up, this is only going to get bigger from there. So as these antes get bigger, people are going to have fewer hands to wait around for a premium hand. You're going to have to make more plays, play more drawing hands, play more aggressively. You're going to have to adjust to having a shorter stack. Pokemon back up top again here. 10 Roaches, not going to do a whole lot. Goldie with 21 Vikings, I'd like to see check it and then see when it comes back around to her. See if anybody had raised. Kal-El with 10 High Templar, not really a raising hand. Not until you have like at least 20 of them. So we'll see how that goes. Royal Ace does have some... oh, come on. Does have a few Ravens, not many. Kind of the same with Blazer, a few Tempests, not many. I want to see aggression here from Goldie or Kal-El, though. Or no, Goldie or... yeah, no, not Kal-El. I'm sorry. I'm mixing myself up. Royal Ace. Okay, there's a good race from Royal Ace. This should knock out a lot of people. Blazer should not be calling this with Tempest first to act after the Razor. With Tempest, you want to see however many other people come along before you decide whether or not you're going to play. In this situation, Blazer should almost absolutely be folding. Goldie, this would be a good calling situation for Goldie. Between these two players, somebody has an air presence already, most likely, and so you just get to shut that down and draw for your second card. Good call. Kal-El rightly gets out of the way with the High Templar. All right. Now Goldie has a good, solid ground presence. So if she can get this heads up, that's ideal. You never want to play Baneling's three-way. You want to focus your Baneling firepower on one person. So Goldie, honestly, excuse me, with this hand, should probably be raising out of position. We don't want to let somebody else set the price. We don't want Royal Ace to make like a little wimpy raise and then Blazer call and feel like he's committed later, especially since he's down in 6th position on the chip stack, on the chip leaderboard. Let's just go ahead and fire out a solid bet of like 125 here and just see if we can take it down or at least narrow it down to one person. She checks. Royal Ace should probably throw down a bet here. A little bit bigger than that. That's not a very big bet. Blazer should probably call this with that small of a bet. And Goldie, I honestly feel like should re-raise this. And here's why. Here's why. This raise is either going to be something really strong like carriers or battle cruisers, or it's just going to be like, meh, I just want everybody out of the pot. Give it to me. With Blazer calling, he probably has something reasonable but not super strong. Reasonable but not super strong is going to be like a 50-50 split of like air ground. So between these two, you have a pretty solid chance of having something for your Vikings to go ahead and counter. And then whatever else is left on the ground, these Banelings are going to clean them up. But only if it's a 1v1. So you've already gotten them to sweeten the pot for you. It is absolutely okay to blast off here. Well, and now I'm sitting here looking at her chip stack, and that's not going to work. Unfortunately, you still have to blast off here just because you're committed, and this is probably the best hand you're going to get. You cannot leave yourself 4 bets in this situation to play with. So, all of my rambling aside, the play here is definitely to go ahead and go all in. Good split for the Vikings. That should be an easy cleanup for the Vikings. And Goldie's back in the game. All right. Here we have Goldie in first position with 8 Tempests. Again, bad position, decent card. We should check here and see what everybody else does. Ninja and Royal Ace, possible to open the pot here if it checks to them. In particular, Royal Ace. Even though we have Zerg 3-3 in the board, Marines are a solid starting hand. If you draw something tanky, throw them in front, you've got really solid DPS. I don't mind an open here from that. If it goes around to Pokemon, 15 Lurkers is absolutely enough to open your hand with in last position. Either Ninja, Royal Ace, or Pokemon here should be opening the pot. Ninja all in. Royal Ace quickly calls. Blazer calls. Not a fan of the 2DT call. That is pure. 2DTs, or like really small counts of DTs, are purely there for you to be aggressive and try to take down the pot and maybe have a little bit of insurance to fall back on. You are never winning a hand with just 2 DTs. You are only playing for the split. Calling in that situation is not the way to play DTs. Pokemon does play the 15 Lurkers with Zerg 3-3. Not a bad play. Goldie does call with the 8 Tempests. I like it. Alright. So we're back in first position here. Goldie does have 6 disruptors to go with the Tempest. This is a pretty good pickup. I think you still want the disruptors in front because of their AI will make them run away as soon as they engage. So it doesn't really matter where you have them in front or in back. They're still going to stay a pretty safe distance away. Ninja picked up, Zerg 3-3, now 4-4. 8 Ultras, 49 Banelings. Very strong hand, but you can't hit air. There are 5 people in this pot. Somebody has air units. You could maybe play this for the split, depending on how it goes, but you only have 3 people behind you. You're going to have it go check, and then see what everybody else does for you to reasonably consider continuing in this hand. Royal Ace, the Infestors with the Marines. This is interesting. You definitely leave the Infestors in front. You're going to hope that there's something big that they can take over, like battle cruisers, carriers, something like that in front, and let the Marines snap up everything behind. But again, we've talked about this. Neural Parasite is really finicky. Sometimes it's great, sometimes it's not so much. So we'll have to see how that plays out. Pokemon, kind of the same deal as Ninja. Like, you just kind of double down on the type of unit you already had. You already had good anti-ground, now you have more good anti-ground. You're just leaving yourself vulnerable and shouldn't play this hand aggressively at all. And Blazer, same thing. You're still just playing 2 DTs. 10 Banshees will never win you the hand, so you're leaning on the DTs as a victory condition, and that's just not reliable enough. This will be interesting. Let's see how it plays out. Check from Goldie. Ninja's already all in. Royal Ace could theoretically raise here. Does so. 50, yeah, into 190-ish. Okay. Blazer calls. Don't like the call. Don't like the call at all. Pokemon should probably see this as a sign to get out. The calls. Goldie is a safe call here. Goldie should not get greedy and raise. Goldie should just call. Good. Now Ninja gets a chance to swap his cards, and we have a 5-way brawl. Interesting. Here's all the lurker action. Infestor's getting eaten up. Ultra's coming through to wreck everything left on the ground. Look at look at this. 8 armor. 8 armor. Did the Banshees even damage that? They do. They'll do 8 damage a shot. Okay. But the Banshee's quickly getting eaten up by the Tempests. I don't know, Ninja. Those Tempests aren't going to feel the armor so much. We don't even have a 10-second timer yet. Yeah, Tempests are going to take this down. Not bad for Goldie. And she picks up another kill. First at the table, actually. Puts her up at 204. Alright. First to act, Kal-El here. Loving those High Templar, but again, not a very good count of them, so we should probably check this. Moving down to Blazer. 15 Ravens, definitely an open. Beaver Teaser, if it gets to him, definitely an open, possibly a re-raise. Pokemon has a tough decision with 16 Oracles. If it's just a single raise to him, he has the chips. It could be a play. It could be a fold. We'll see when it gets back around to him how the action is gone. Vendidius checks. Royal Ace should check. Blazer makes a play. How much is he going to raise is the question. Okay. All in for 95. Yeah, that reads about right. Yeah, I don't have anything to say about that. That's pretty good. Quick call by Beaver Teaser. Definitely a solid play. I don't think I fold 19 Ghosts here very often. I don't think I can re-raise them here very reliably either. I think calling is the right play here. Great pickup for Blazer. Unfortunately, those ghosts just ripping everything apart. And those ravens are light, so they take bonus damage from the ghosts. That's going to be another knockout. All right, ante's up to 14. We're now at 6-handed. So, the one thing to remember, if you aren't aware, like, think of poker this way. At a full 8-handed table, you either have to have the best hand out of 7 other players, or you have to convince 7 other players that you have the best hand in order to take the pot down. As players bust out, you have less opposition. So now that we're at 6 players, you only have to have a better hand than 5 other players, or convince 5 other players to that you have the best hand. So you can start to be a little bit more active. There's less of a chance that your slightly less than super good hand is beaten now, so you can play it a little more aggressively, play it for a bigger pot. You can play a little bit weaker hands aggressively and still have a little bit of insurance to fall back on if you get called out as a bluff. As players bust out and the antes go up, making initial pots more valuable, you should be playing more and more hands more and more aggressively, trying to take down these pots without opposition. Because anytime that you can avoid a showdown, it just negates the possibility of you losing, of having a bad draw, of running into a bad hand. Remember that there's no such thing as aces in this game. You are never a lock before the money goes in. There's always something out there that can counter you, and you don't know if you're going to run into it or not sometimes. I've played tens of thousands of hands of this game. I'm sure there's still unit combinations that I haven't played enough to really have a good feel for them. So the more you can just take down without opposition, the better off you are as these antes continue to climb. Really nobody with anything playable here. I would love to see Kal-El or Goldie just take a shot at it for cheap. Goldie definitely has the chips to start putting pressure on people here. 40-something bets, 45 bets, something like that in her stack. So she's definitely got room to play. Now she picks up Ravens. I mean, this is going to be sick. Check, check. Beaver Teaser has 13 units total. You can't play that. Here should be the raise. That's a little bit over the size of the pot. That is still kind of a big raise. I would recommend sizing a little bit lower, maybe about 70, 80. Royal Ace doesn't even want to take a shot with his mines. Should just be a fold around. All right. Royal Ace, first position, 4 ultras, nothing much. Beaver Teaser should probably check call. Go ahead and check here, call a small bet. 8 Tempest is definitely a decent starting hand, depending on how many people come along for it. Moving around to Goldie, 18 Mutas, potentially a worth opening hand. If you got re-raised on the Mutas, I'd probably let it go. But if it checks around 2, your raise to 48 is entirely playable. Vendettius with the 23 Vikings should be calling most pre-second card action here. But let's see how it goes. Beaver Teaser does check. Let's see if Goldie raises. Does not. Kal-El should not be raising here with 25 roaches. Vendettius might raise here. Yeah, Okay, so I think what Vendettius is doing here is actually raising for value. Now that the antes are a little bit higher, actually significantly higher, the min raise is not as bad. You're playing for a more significant stack of chips that are on the table. However, what this is doing is if you see Beaver Teaser here already re-raising, Vendettius is making this look like a cheap position play. He's last to act. It makes it look like he just sees that everybody else checks and isn't interested in the hand. So he's just putting out a little bet just to see if he can take it down. Beaver Teaser is reading this and saying, no, actually, I've just played a trap on you. I'm going to put you to the test and re-raise you. Vendettius should be fine calling this. He successfully laid a trap. He made it look weak. He got called out on it. He should be calling this. All right, not a great draw for either player. Unfortunately, I think the tanks are going to be enough to do in the Vikings once they land. So this was a pretty lucky draw for Beaver Teaser, even though he's not going to be very confident. I think he's just going to go check. Vendettius can't continue any aggression since his second card was so bad. Beaver Teaser does need to put the Tempest in the back. I mean, that's just where Tempests go is the general rule. You shouldn't mess with that. Tanks in front is entirely fine. They will siege up in plenty of time and get some shots off. Yeah, this should just go check. Yeah, those Vikings doing work on the Tempest. Not that it's going to matter, because as soon as they land, the tanks are going to siege up and wreck all of them. Here it comes. Oh, maybe not. Those Vikings doing a lot of damage really quickly. Wow. Nice. Misread that one. All right. Not a lot going on here. Royal Aces last act with 21 Stalkers. That's definitely a decent starting hand to raise in last position. Unfortunately, nobody really has anything to play back at him with. We'll probably see a raise of like to 48 here. All in. Okay, yeah, I didn't see how short he was. All in is totally fine. And that should be enough to take down the Andes. Almost double a stack. Not bad. Alright, Pokemon back in first act. Nothing really good. Goldie. If you had 14 wild cards like here in late position, I'd say that's definitely a raise. Here in second position, it's still a little tough to play those, not knowing what your opponents are doing yet. I would check and then possibly call a bet depending on the action. Vendettius is the first one here I think that definitely has a raising hand. 12 Liberators. Really strong. You have anti-air, you have anti-ground. Great start to a hand. Put something a little strong on the ground in front of it. You're golden. Nobody else really has much to play back with. I think this is going to come down to Vendettius and Goldie to the second card. Yeah, Goldie does check. Vendettius, I think, is going to raise here. Yep, mini raise again. Like we said before, Ante's getting bigger. The min raises are a little bit more playable. I'm still not a huge fan of them at this stack size, but it's alright. See if Goldie should call. Goldie comes along. Now we have, again, like why you play the second card, even if your first card isn't exactly perfect. Goldie picks up 12 Ravens, which is huge. Vendettius picks up 8 Thors, also huge. Vendettius now has the +1/+1 for being suited, which is going to be great for the Liberators against anything in the air. This is a good hand for Vendettius. I think he might survive the Ravens, depending on what rolls on the wild card. Goldie, I feel like, should be checking to the Razor 9 times out of 10 here. Let Vendettius lead out, and then depending on how much he leads out, decide on what to do. Okay, so 100 into 128, almost a pot-sized bet. We have to be pretty confident with our hand here to make this play. I still want to put the wild cards in front. Let them engage the Liberators first. Hopefully confuse them so that like some of them go into the ground siege mode. Some of them stay in anti-air mode. Get some free damage in on them. And then that'll give the Ravens enough time to come in and split and drop all the turrets. I I think this is a call here 100% of the time. Vendettius has been very aggressive. He's been getting more aggressive as the antes get bigger. You have a stack to call him down. This costs you like 17% of your stack. Not even. I think we have a strong enough hand to make a case for a call here. And we do. I still would have liked those Ravens in back, but let's see. Interference Matrix shutting down a lot, but that's going to be a lot of their mana gone too. That'll do it. Good wildcard roll. Alright. Goldie first here. 1 Liberator, no good. 1 Battlecruiser, no good. Beaver Teaser in next to last position. 14 Vikings might be in raise if it gets to him. Nobody else really has anything to stand up to him, though, so that should be his pot to take down if he does decide to raise. Or we might just get a second card for free. Beaver Teaser does let it go and we get a second card. Pokemon thinks a great hand. 18 Ravens. Second card, last to act. Open pot, nobody's raised yet. Beaver Teaser did pick up 7 Thors to go with those 14 Vikings, so he's got 1/1 from the suited bonus. I can absolutely see this going raise, re-raise. I don't think anybody else is going to get involved. So Beaver Teaser should be raising this. Vikings in front, Thors in back. Make it like 48. It'll be wow, he checks. Pokemon absolutely needs to raise. Okay. I would have liked it a little bit more. Pop it to 48. Or pop it by 48, I'm sorry. Beaver Teaser should raise this. Okay. Okay, let's see what's going on here. Beaver Teaser just raised way over the size of the pot. He's trying to basically scream Ravens, Battlecruisers, Carriers. However, we know that Pokemon already has the Ravens, which will shut down the Battlecruisers and Carriers. So for Pokemon, this should be a really easy call. High Templars and Ghosts, like naked High Templars and Ghosts, don't make a play like this. If you have a strong High Templar X or a Ghost X hand, you could do this maybe. But just the raise size alone, the re-raise, basically putting you all in, is not enough to say alone, like this is definitely High Templar, this is definitely Ghost. This reads a lot more strongly to me as Raven Carrier BC, and we know we have Ravens in our hand, which shut down the BC and Carrier. I think this is a really safe call. Of course, we know Beaver Teaser doesn't have BC or Carrier, but we go to it. I don't think that's enough turrets. Oh, it's definitely enough turrets. Wow. Yeah, Ravens win. Good play by Beaver Teaser, masking your hand. Well, just didn't work out for him that time. We definitely read him for something else. Still worked out. Kal-El, first position. 12 Ravens. I don't like the value bet here, the value min raise. In first position, like by the time that the blinds get this big, we have less than 100 blinds in the game right now. There's 2,400 chips in the game. The blind is 120 blinds in the game. This is not enough to make a huge amount of value. It's not enough also to scare people away. You're screaming, I have a decent value hand. I just want people out. people can read this and get through to you. If you actually had like, say if you had like a count of 20 instead of 12, it would make more sense to raise a little bit bigger, get people out. If you had just a crappy hand whatsoever and you were just trying to steal, it would make more sense to raise bigger. You want people out, you don't want calls. So this is just screaming like, it's fishy. Like, you're letting people play you by making this play. Royal Ace does call with the lurkers. Alright, so Goldie's in there with the Marauders too. Picks up Hellions. Not really exciting. You do have 4-4. I don't think it's going to be enough to save you here. Royal Ace is also suited. Picks up 21 Corruptors with the 12 Lurkers. Very strong hand. Cal L picks up 8 Tempest with the 12 Ravens. Very strong hand. Here's the problem with what Cal L has done. He showed that little bit of aggression on the first card. Royal Ace calls, Goldie calls. If he checks, these two players should be really worried about what he's doing. This min bet was already fishy. Like, something's going on. So if he just checks after this, either he has crap or he has the nuts, most likely. So unless you have something that beats the nuts, you're not going to reopen betting here. You're just going to check, let the hand play out. So he's almost backed himself to where if he wants to get value out of this hand, he needs to raise. The problem is how much. Goldie, we know, should be out of this hand. However, all we know is that she called after Royal Ace called, getting better pot odds. So she doesn't need to have as strong of a hand to be in this pot. If we're going to raise here, I recommend something around like 60, maybe about a third a pot. That should be enough to hopefully entice Ace to come in. And then hopefully that's enough to discourage Goldie. Actually, you know what? I'm going to even size it up a little bit more. Make it more like 80, 90, almost half pot. Because in that way, she's only getting about 3-1 if Royal Ace calls. Yeah, I think that sounds about right. So I'd say about like half pot. Give or take. Maybe a tiny bit less. Let's see what happens. Good. All right. 93. We can definitely take that. That's about half pot. Royal Ace is definitely strong enough here to make this call. Even with Terran 3-3 on the board, the Corruptors are going to shut down battle cruisers. Thors are going to be a problem. Other Terran mech, probably not a big deal. Terran infantry, absolutely not a big deal. We're looking pretty good here. Royal Ace also, this is like going to be his last shot. Like, this is the rest of his chips. If he folds this, he's down to less than 5 bets for the next hand. You already have a really strong hand. You're suited. Take a shot at it. Go ahead and call. All right, and he calls. Now we have Goldie. Goldie has crap. Goldie does have 4-4, but it's still 4-4 on crap units. This should not even be a thought. Get out of the hand. There we go. And now Kal-El calls off the last 2 chips, and we get a fight. Those lurkers may be his saving grace here. If they can kill the turrets in time before they do too much DPS to the Corruptors. Nope. Turrets left alive. They're timing out. Okay. Yeah, the Corruptors have it here. Nice hand. Royal Ace picks up some much needed chips. Alright. Vendettia's first act, 9 roaches, no good. Royal Ace, at a 6-handed table, at 7 BCs, I say go ahead and open it, especially since we're this high ante right now. Ante's up to 24, 100 bets even in the game left. Royal Ace has like 14 bets left. Go ahead and pop it up to like 3 bets. That way you can size up, like if somebody calls you, you're almost at a perfect size to shove on the second card. Pokemon could feasibly open here as well. Make it 72, sir. There we go. Vendettius gets out of the way. Royal Ace should call here. I don't like quite giving away the strength of my hand yet. Especially if you're taking a second to think about it the way he is. You're not signaling like super strength by insta-calling. I think this is a great spot to go ahead and call. Let Beaver Teaser do what he's going to do. And then insta-check the second card. Just check to the razor. Let Pokemon have his little aggression there. See how much he bets and then react accordingly. Alright, so Royal Ace is absolutely in control of his hand. You have two S-Class units. You're not worried about Ghost or High Templar. You're not worried about Corruptors or Vikings. Like, you have a very hard-to-counter hand. This changes things. We already were, like, really in control. Now this is, like, this is as close to having the nuts as we're going to have, I think. If you're going to check quickly here. If you're going to think about it, I think we need to lead out with like a third to a half pot bet. I think 80 to 90 is a good number here. Royal Ace, if he leads out 90, is going to leave himself 200 left in a pot of 330. So that's a perfect size for Pokemon to shove back over the top of him, trying to make it look like it's a bully him around, even though he does have Disruptor Thor to back him up. Royal Ace's job right now is to do whatever play gets the most chips in the pot, and I think betting that 80 to 90 is what's going to do it. But let's see what he does. 130 is a little much, but we can roll with it. Let's see what Pokemon does. Very nice. At least gets that much called. Pokemon should have probably put the Disruptors in front. Remember that the Disruptor AI runs away as soon as it runs into a ground target. So even if you put them in front, they're going to run away to safety as soon as they get hit by anything. So let them tank a little bit to help cover the Thors. And then let them go in. Alright. Royal Ace has a great hand here, 12 Archons, only 6-handed. This is something I'd probably open about half the time, check about half the time. 12 Archons is a good hand, it's not a great hand. It is a very versatile card to start with. It can pair up with a lot of great units. Also with the Protoss synergy or the suited bonus 1/1, opens up a lot of good combinations to play here. But if you draw something like Zerglings on the back of it or Marauders, you know, like something that's just not very good, you're still playing basically naked Archons, and that's not a good look. If you're raising, you're definitely raising to pare down the pot. You only want to go up with Archons against like one, maybe two other people. So we're trying to knock people out if we do raise. Otherwise, we're just checking to see what everybody else does and respond accordingly. Goldie is in a good position to open. You're in 4th position here at a 6-handed table. You have 8 Thors. There's no upgrades to worry about on the table. If Royal Ace doesn't open, Goldie absolutely should. If Royal Ace does open, Goldie should definitely call. Alright, Royal Ace does open. A little bit big for my liking, but he does have a fairly large ship stack now, so he may just be wanting to put extra pressure on the shorties. Goldie should call this. 8 Thors is a pretty strong hand, 6-handed. Good call. Kal-El, not a big fan of the Banshees after that much action. Let's let him go. Neither player draws particularly well. Goldie can put those Zealots in front, tank just a little bit for the Thors, let them line up some shots. Excuse me. The Widow Mines, I think you leave him in back. The problem with leaving him in back is that once the Archons move up front, there's a good chance that they're going to get splashed if the Archons are fighting anything melee, which of course in this instance they will be with the Zealots in front. I think this is... Since Royal Ace opened, I think this is a raise fold for him. Bet like 125, like a little under half pot. If Goldie plays back at you, just let it go. If you get called, you kind of hate it, but you have a little bit of backup insurance. You're definitely looking for a fold with this bet. That's why we're not risking quite as much as we normally would, because we don't have that much of insurance to fall back on. Um, yeah, I think like a 125 bet is strong here. 100 works. A little short, but we can make it work. Um, Goldie is getting excellent odds here. 104 to 392, almost 4 to 1. You only have to win 1 in 5 times with this call to be profitable. You've got a huge chip stack. It's going to take less than 17-16% of your stack. Go ahead and call. See what's up. These Archons are dropping fast. Mine's helping out a lot, though. I got some good shots off. All those swords need to quit targeting the mines. There we go. That'll do it. Nice hand, Goldie. Nice hand. All right. First hand here, Beaver Teaser, first to act, 4 carriers. With Terran 3-3 on the board, I highly recommend checking here. If we had Protoss 3-3 or if it were Zerg upgrades, I'd be a little bit more inclined to raise. Terran 3-3 is really scary for carriers. Ghosts become a lot more efficient. Battle cruisers become a lot more efficient. The battle cruisers already beat them. They just beat them even worse now. Marines, scary as hell. Lots of good stuff for Terrans to take advantage of here. Vikings, I mean, my goodness. So I would recommend with only 4 carriers here, first to act, high antes. Yeah, check and let somebody else raise it, and then just shove all in. You do only have 3 bets left. Yeah, I think I like checking over shoving here. And we get a free second card. Beaver Teaser picks up 6 Ravens. I think now is the time to shove. 2 of the power units are off the board. We have them in our hand. You are going to get the 3-3 upgrades from the turrets for the Ravens, I believe. I mean, we don't have great count, but we have something. I definitely like the Ravens in the back. Let the carriers go ahead and tank whatever's in front. Give the Ravens time to get the turrets down for that little extra DPS. It's go time. We have a strong enough hand to go ahead and shove this. And we check. Oof. If this checks around, this is a disaster for Beaver Teaser. This is definitely a strong hand where he should have made some money. And he's not gonna in a 6-way. This is not great for Royal Ace to insta call that. Beaver Teaser should be all in here. Leaves himself 26 chips behind. I don't know what that play is. Ooh, nice disruptor shot on the Marines. That's some DPS that needed to go down. Those Ravens and carriers doing what they can. The Void Ray is definitely scary though, and the carriers are focusing on the turrets. Not what you want to do when you're getting shot by Void Rays. But the carriers should be enough to cover this. Definitely chopping the pot. Let's see if they can kill that last Ultralisk. Yep. bad. All right, Joe, we're getting close to the hour mark again. I'm going to go ahead and actually make the call to make this a 3-video series for this game. We'll be back in video number 3 with the end game. We'll talk some more about heads up, three-handed, short-handed play, low stack play, tournament play. We'll start getting into the nitty-gritty of it. Till next time, y'all. Appreciate it.